The difficulty is that you guys don't have a copy. You got a copy. It's page 248.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do?
I can understand your mistake. It's confusing the way they've printed it all. You follow?
We'll listen.
They've mixed the two things together.
Yeah.
And but there's a whole sikha of its own, Shabbat Tsfat Yitro. You follow?
Yeah. I was in a hurry. I didn't look. I didn't stay.
And the Teichen Sikha is on page, I can't see well of this eye, 245. Yeah. So, so listen, I worked very hard on this thing, so
okay.
I don't know what we can do. So this evening we're learning the Teichen of the Sikha of the Rebbe, Parshas Yitro, Tovshin Nun Beit. And the Sikha that we're learning is the Sikha of Shabbos Parshas Yitro Ba'atzmai, not connected with the conscience of Chabad Tsfat, what the Rebbe said immediately after Parshas Yitro. Already on the first and second days of Parshas Mishpatim of Toshin Nun Beit. So that led to a confusion that Yehuda printed up the letter Sikha, not the Sikha that we're supposed to be learning. So I apologize for that. We will be learning in a way that I will just be explaining. And tonight is early Yud Tes, Thursday night, early Yud Tes Shvat, Tovshin Ayin Tes, and the learning is taking place in the Beis Knesset at Tzemach Tzedek, Asher Be'ir HaKodesh Tzfas Tebeinu V'Secheinu. So, the Sikha that we're going to be trying to sum up at least deals with the fact that there are two Aseres HaDibros. There's an Aseres HaDibros which occurs here in this week's Parsha, and there's an Aseres HaDibros in Parsha Veschonon. So the Rebbe is going to deal with a shaila that occurs to the intelligent reader. Why do we need two reports about the Aseres HaDibros? And why do we need to have it written twice in the Torah, albeit that there are certain changes or shinuim between the two, that's only in the Lashonas, over the basic inyan is the same. Benagir to our question, what do we need it twice for? So that's the main theme we're going to be dealing with. And the Rebbe presents it in a very amazing way. What are the two presentations of the Aseres HaDibros represent, and how do they make up the ultimate purpose of the whole creation, which is Alidei Torah, the infant dira lo yisbara b'taktoinim, which will be b'shleimus in the Yemois HaMashiach, the Tchias HaMesim, k'mavua b'tanya. Okay, so the Rebbe begins with the fact that Aseret HaDibros moifim b'Torah pamayim. The Aseret HaDibros occur twice. Apam Rishayna Mofia Parshas Yitro. The first time that we deal with the Aseret HaDibros is in this week's Parsha. Apam Ashniya Mofia Parsha Veschonan. The second time is the second Parsha in Sefer Dvarim. What there we have a chazorah on the part of Moshe Rabbeinu of the Aseret HaDibros. Shom chazor Moshe Rabbeinu al Aseret HaDibros pam noisefes, because he was beklau chazering over the whole Torah prior to the entrance of the Yidden and Eretz Yisrael. As we know, that's the whole function of Sefer Dvarim. So between all of the inyonim that he chazed over the whole Maimad of Har Sinai, including the Aseret HaDibros. But they were the ikar of the whole Maimad of Har Sinai. Mekivan Aseret HaDibros Misavim Yesod L'Kol HaTorah Kula, since the Aseret HaDibros are a fundament to the whole Torah, as the one on the Alter Rebbe tells us in Tanya and Perek Kof, and also in Perek Lamed Vav, the Alter Rebbe tells us that the Klolos Kol HaTorah is expressed in the Aseret HaDibros. And at the beginning of Perek Kof, he tells us that the first two dibros, Anoichi v'lo yilacho, they are koilol all the mitzvahs of the Torah even more, in a more general way, and they include all the Torah kula, including Pnimis HaTorah. Well, but Pnimis HaTorah at the moment of Har Sinai, the Etzem Mizgalas on Har Sinai, the Pnimis HaTorah was Behelam Yoter. If not completely Behelam, and Beika was Begoli the Nigla Sheboy. But it was koilol everything within it, which means that the Klolos Kol HaTorah is the Aseret HaDibros. Muvan, sheyesh non toichon umashmoyesh lekach shehem ne'emru pamayim. Im kein, if we'll say that the Aseret HaDibros are Klolos Kol HaTorah Kula, and they include in themselves all the inyonim of mitzvahs and Pnimis HaTorah and all the inyonim, which are going to be Mishchadish v'Meshach Kol HaDeres, are all included some way in the Aseret HaDibros, as a well-known from the Rabbeinu Sadia HaGoyen, what he brings down about that Parichas in certain of his great works. And also he made a huge poem of all the, how do you call it, mitzvahs, HaTorah, which was not the only such poem. There were certain other the great Rishonim who wrote things of that nature about the whole 613 commandments, and he points out and he shows how they're all kol in the Aseret HaDibros. Of Amel, come to us that if so, that the Aseret HaDibros are like the whole Klolos HaTorah, and particularly the first two of the Aseret HaDibros, as well known that Ali Yidden heard the first two Dibros directly from Hashem himself, not through Moshe Rabbeinu. The other 8 Dibros were given over by Moshe, because the Yidden said they couldn't take it. Over the first 2 Dibros, they heard through directly, Mipi HaKodesh Baruch Hu, directly Mipi Hashem. Uvamela, it's obvious that such a general inim, which is nagea to the whole Torah, and to the inyan of Torah, b'kol hadoros, and to the ultimate ispatches of the whole inyan of Torah, and therefore to the whole Gula Shlema, Kamavur Betanya, is Lefi Zekum Days, that if it's repeated twice, then there must be something very significant in the repetition. He said, V'gama Avdeilim Aktanim, Sheyeshnam Beina Dibras, there's there are differences in Lashon, Boim Ketaytzuam Yahevdil Armarkozi Beinayhem. That since there's a very simple, a very atzmius significance to the Serza Dibras, although they have slight differences in the language, as well known. Moshe Rabbeinu says it differently in what is written in the original Serza Dibras. Then those shinuim must grow from this atzmistic inyan that there is in the Aseret Dibros. Since they're so essential to the whole Torah, or that essential nature of the Aseret Dibros will determine why there's these shinuim. I'll have to ask for a slight forgiveness that I may miss out on a few oisias here and there because this eye is not working. I can't really see clearly through the sign. I have a problem that every now and then it starts weeping without my control over it. But anyway, we'll make the best that we're able to. So he said, Hebdel Echad Boro. Let's begin the whole discussion by the obvious differences between Shnei Dibros. In order to know what is the unbelievable allied factors let's first of all define what are the differences, and then we'll be able to come to what unites it all together. So he says, "Dibros harushenos nemru mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu." The Dibros harushenos was said directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Klal Yisrael and the rest of them through Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, for at least the first two Dibros, wasn't even a go-between. He was not even a medium. They heard that directly from Hashem. And the rest they heard, milamayla lamata, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu. And it's brought down in Drush Chassidus that Moshe Rabbeinu is a very special type of what we call a mamutza. He's called a mamutza hamachaber. There's two types of mamutzas, a mamutza hamafrid or mamutza hamavdil, and there's a mamutza hamachaber. A mamutza hamavdil is where he has a function that he hears what the mashpia has to say, and he works it over in his seichel, and then he gives it over to the mashpia pretty much as he understood it. So he's like a mamutza, he's like a medium between the mashpia and the makabel. But he's like as it were, a separate entity in the middle of his own, even though he has a very important function. But a mamutza hamachaber means that he's absolutely bottled completely to the mashpia in such a way that he just gives over what the mashpia says, and he doesn't have any, what we might call involvement or hitarvut, to use the Hebrew expression, in what he's giving over. He just gives it over completely as he you guys are able to hear me, because I'm having difficulty hearing myself. Is it clear? Is it coming on? Over Mela, he says, the Rebbe, Moshe Rabbeinu was a mamutza hamachaber. However, his Aval became, is brought down on Chassidus that even a mamutza hamachaber in some way causes a certain symptom in order to bring it down to the makabel. He doesn't actually change anything or alter anything, but he causes a certain, what we might call, tzimtzum atzmi that it should be able to go over to the makabel. And a dogma for that is what's called a mashpeik. You know what a mashpeik is? A funnel, you know. That if you pour water into the top of the funnel limits it something. But the actual, what goes into the tank is the same water that was poured in. But nonetheless, the funnel causes a certain symptom, even though not in the etzem of the thing, or he does cause a certain symptom. So even a mamutza, hamachaber, causes a certain, his tzamtzumas. The first two dibris were not like that even. They were heard directly from Hashem. And the others were the mamutza hamachaber of Moshe Rabbeinu. However, the dibros in Parshas Chonon, they're only Moshe Rabbeinu on his own, as you might say. Moshe Rabbeinu is having heard everything over all the years that he taught the Torah. He's summing up the whole Torah. So it's true that Tosfos says over there in Masechta Megillah, right near the end, Tosfos says that Moshe Rabbeinu said a Baruch HaKodesh. Oh, but it's essentially Moshe Rabbeinu's giving over. He spoke with divine inspiration. So that's a very big difference. The first time was the first two were without any mamutza klal. The second one with the highest form of mamutza, but became a certain symptom. The dibros in Parshas Chonon, they come from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu gives them over. It's just that he has a divine koyach inspiring him and, as it were, bringing higher selakis into what he says. So therefore says the Rebbe, Ve'ilu ha'achreinas lamroi shegam heim k'muvan mahavim chelik meteres Hashem or medivrei Hashem achayim chelik medivrei Hashem shenemru al yidei Moshe. And that's what Tosfos gets over that problem by saying that he said it was Ruach HaKodesh. Im Kain, it really is Divrei Hashem, but it's Divrei Hashem that comes through him. That's not directly from Hashem. Avamela Midivrei Hashem shenemra l'idei Moshe, b'poyel shomu b'nei Yisrael es hadibros ha'achreinim mipini Moshe Rabbeinu. The poyel mamish, they heard the dibros ha'achreinim, they heard from Moshe Rabbeinu. They didn't hear from Hashem. Shechoza es hadibros ha'achreinim. He said over what he'd already heard in the dibros ha'achreinim. ומכיוון ששני סוגי הדיברות הינם חלק מתורת Hashem, so therefore we have to say that they form a hoira l'kol Yehudi. We must say that these two different ways of presenting the Yisrael's Dibros, or they form in them and build in themselves a instruction to Ali Yidden, how they should approach the whole meaning of Limud Torah, and ultimately the whole way of making a dira le'yizbarach b'taktonim. So he says, "Uberfrat shebekol yom tzorich Yehudi lechadesh." Yeah, and how do I say that sheyu kol yom beinecha kachadoshim? There's a Maimon Chazal which are brought down Bekama Makomis by Rashi and by Medrashim, that every day you have to start all over anew. You have to see your whole limit of Torah is new. Shu mekabel es haTorah mechodas. Yeah, sheyu b'kol yom sheki'ilu hayom nitnu misinai is one of the Lashonas, which means that you have to relive not only your receiving the Etzem Torah, but you have to relive the whole way and the whole form of Matan Torah, how it was, at the Etzem Mamad of Matan Torah. Shelohem b'biras haTorah mevochim noisein haTorah. Every day we get a whole new giving, but it's not just a giving of the Torah, but it's like a whole new experience of the way it was given to us and the way we stood. Ki'ilu hayom nitnu miSinai. Not just Ki'ilu hayom nitnu, but Ki'ilu hayom nitnu miSinai. Yeah. Moving, שבשני סוגים אלו ישנו הוראה בעבודתו של כל יהודי בכל יום ויום. אם כן, this hora that's hidden in the doubling of the Aseret HaDibros is there every day mechadash by every year. He has to relive this whole thing. V'kosho, ma mistave, the question asks itself, ma mitayza b'dibros ha'achronos shem nemru al-idei Moshe, al pnei dibros ha'rishonos shenemru mikpi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's an old lesson, when I say old, there's a lesson of our sages that yesh b'klal Mosayim Mona, that if you got Mosayim, you've already got a Mona. So if we got the Dibros mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the first two Dibros especially were mamish mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what do we need? The Dibros mipi Moshe, what do they add to us in our whole way of learning? And that has to become a whole Indian in our lives every day, and in our whole learning of Torah, and ultimately in our whole approach to the world. I don't know. And anybody got a? So we have something. That's good. Yeah. Thanks.
Explain.
I'm sorry. It's just this eye is really beginning to play up. Oh, so the Rebbe said, Im Kain, we have to know, says the Rebbe, that B'Torah, in order to understand this basic question, B'Torah yeshnam b'klolos shnei shlavim. There is a word, two stages in learning and studying Torah. A Torah mitzad atzmo, hi kli chemdo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do you say? The Eberster didn't owe anybody anything. The Torah is the Eberster's, and it's a very precious keli to their clay kemdo. It's a midrash. It's a midrash lekach tov. That the Torah is the Eberster's precious keli, and it's brought down in the midrash Tilim that he had it 2,000 years before the world was created and everything. So you know, Hashem's got the Torah. What does he need to give it for? He doesn't owe anybody anything. That if Hashem nonetheless gave us the Torah, and he summed it all up in the Aseret HaDibros, oh, that's a very special inyan that's directly from him. A kli chemdo means something that a person keeps liatzmusay, yeah? He said, He chok moshe v'ratzoinoi v'ashel HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai. That's Hashem in his very essence, has that in, and he keeps it as a precious thing for himself. Yeah, but he afcheli bilti nivrad me'HaKadosh Baruch Hu u'kedivrei hazohar, and that's what it's his return of a chokmah, is something that doesn't separate from him in any way. According to the words of the Zohar, or Rise of a Kudshabriku, Kula, Chad, the Eber says one thing mamish with the Torah. Not only he views it as it's really part of him. Abamela says the Rebbe in Cain, if he gives it, then he's giving it literally from his own essence. Hashem is giving something which is part of him, yeah, part of his essence, to us. Mitzad HaSheni, Oisa Torah Yordo Liacha Mikain, Mikain Khan Bo Elam. How does the Alter Rebbe say in Perik Daled, Mishom Nosor V'Yordo, that the Torah had a word travel and came down and made this tremendous yerida from wherever it was. However, it didn't change. That's the pshat over there in Perik Daled. If you look it up carefully, it didn't change. The Torah came down, but it only came down in a way that made it possible for us to approach it. Of in its very essence, it remained exactly what it is. So he said, Oisa Torah Yordo Liachamikain Khan Bo'ilom. Vehi Niktevas Ka'es al gabi gilyanas klaf gashmim. Well, that's what he says in Perek David. That's exactly the quote from Perek David. Oisekes b'dvarim gashmim. It talks about dvarim gashmim. Va'av k'sheyeshna shayla poinim l'rabonim animchoim kan bo ilam. So it comes out that even if there'll be a question as to how we should understand a certain thing, then the Gemara tells us that just lo b'shamayim he. You're not allowed to send a message in some sort of a email into heaven. No, you have to approach Rabbonim down here in this world, Neshamas b'gufim in the physical world, Painim l'Rabbonim anim choim kan bo'elam, V'heim al pi avanosom moirim keitad lisnai. And they have to tell us according to their judgment and their seichel, neshamas begufim, davki b'toich ha'olam, how to judge them. Like the Gemara tells us in Baba Metzia, there was the whole sugya, Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, that Rabbi Yeshua got up and he said, Lo b'shamayim here. It's not in there, we have to pass it. No? Yeah, we can't wait for a pitka to fall down from heaven. Yeah. It's falling on the whole story over there in the Gemara. Amamela comes out Lafisa that Nasina Satira was a Nasina from Kodesh Baruch Hu's own personal Kli Chemda, and it was part of him and part of his etzem. He gave it down to Davki into the physical world and to Neshamas Begufim. Yeah, Rabbonim, how they are in the physical world. Kizuhi mataros yorida lamata, said the Rebbe, that's the whole Indian of the giving of the Torah here in this world. Lahafoi gamaso oilam hazeh lamakim kodesh. Yeah, ladira lashem yizborah. The whole purpose of Nasina Satira was, like he brings in Perek Lamed Vav again, the Alter Rebbe, what he says over there, the whole Tachlis, the Bria is She'olav B'ratzoinei liyos le'nachas ruach kadishkafye sitrach v'yishapcho chashoich alein hoira. That the whole Indian of Nasina Satira, B'toch ha'olam, was to bring about the infinite Sapcha, and to reverse the whole Indian of the Sitrach into divine light. That was the purpose of the giving of the Torah Hilamata, and that's its whole purpose. Behetam lakach, yeshnam shtei nakuda zikrias, belimada Torah shall call Yehudi. So therefore, said the Rebbe, according to that, we're going to see that these two different versions of the Aseret Dibros represent like two different stadim of that whole purpose. That Hashem wanted that Davki the Torah should come down Lamata, and it should come down directly from him, and the part of it should be directly to every year. You know, two of the Dibros directly to every year. K'shiyudi lomed Torah v'yodea shazui chok mosai shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a Yid learns Torah, and he knows very well that this is directly from the etzem of Hashem, it's chok mosai shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Direct and be'etzem shel hamayla mi'olam u'miseiko ha'odam. That is, if it's Koch Mosei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how that's Miyuvad Bat Mosei and Chelik Me'at Mosei, then that's L'mayla Me'olam Be'etzem definition, and it's beyond his Seichel also. So when he learns Torah, Nasi Zetzloi, his battles, Mukletas, Habor Lidei Bite Beroisha Beroshoina, Babirchus HaTorah, and Ne'ameres Lifnei HaLimod. So Kumtais, that says the Rebbe, but the fact that when you learn Torah, you know it's Chok Mosei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Be'etzem of Amela, you know that you're literally being makabel from the Eivashter. So you have to be careful. You have to learn with absolute bittul. You have to know that you are not here. Only Hashem's words are, as it were, coming through you, over your bottle, betachas habitl. You don't have any place whatsoever. And therefore that reaches its expression at the beginning of every day, when we make Birchas HaTorah, Baruch Atah Hashem, Noisein HaTorah, we say that you give us the Torah, not we mix into anything, but we're bottled, we are mekablim only what you give us from your own storehouse and from your own etzem. He said, "V'gam limud HaTorah atzmai nasi shoyno." He said, not only you know that you're bottled to the Ratzon Hashem and to what Hashem is giving over in the Torah, but he said also the way you learn is also different. Ze lo shehu lomed, ela shakarish baruch hu olam ez hadvarim, v'hu poshet chozer acharav. How's it written in the Pasuk? It's written in the Pasuk, Tan Lashoini Imrasecha. It's Pasuk in Tilim. I'm just answering over what I'm told. Vamela, if you learn Torah early, and you learn Torah the way you're supposed to, Vamela, you know that you're not really a tremendously active party here. You are active, but you are just a kli to give over what Hashem is saying through you. He's giving over, just in a way like Moshe Rabbeinu was. He was just giving over what Hashem told him. Over Meir said that the limud is completely another limud. There's an old saying, with all due respect to everybody, there's an old saying that a misnagid, he says when he wants to say a pshat, he said, I say. Chassidim used to always see that very, very not on. They couldn't accept that. I say anything. I don't say anything. I just give over. I'm just giving over what Hashem gave us. That affects the very essence of the limud HaTorah. Ela shakarish baruch hu oim es hadvarim v'hu poshet chozer acharav. ולכן לימוד התורה נעשה באימה ויראה. ישכנו יודע שמדובר פה יהיה בדבר השם ממש. The Rebbe quotes in the Sikha, the famous Gemara, Masechta Brachas, where the Gemara says that Ma laholon ba'emo v'yira b'retzas over there. The Matan Torah, everybody was mekabel the Torah ba'emo v'fachad, and they were all shaking and they were sweating and everything, the whole thing. Afkan, the same when you learn Torah, you also have to shudder and you have to sweat and you have to be full of pachad. So the Rebbe asked the Shali, maybe those who were actually at Matan Torah, they call them royim as a koilas. They had the whole, how do you call it, amazing experience. We're already a couple of thousand years later in a Guf Kumri and a Gashmi and a world of Kumri. How can you possibly have that same? So the Rebbe said, but if you understand that the Torah doesn't change, chas v'sholem, nor every minute is noisein HaTorah, then when you're learning Torah, you're just giving over what Hashem said, then you can feel the same way they did in Matan Torah. That's what the Rebbe said. And so he said, everybody is wondering about this moment. It's a Gemara. It's a Mephorisha Gemara. Masechta Brachas. Everybody said, tap. So the Rebbe said, it just makes Poshet sense. If you understand what is really the way that you're supposed to be learning Torah, it makes good sense. Does not. So therefore, that's the way it is when you learn Torah, the way it was given by Hashem the first time in the Aseret HaDibros. Yeah? So that's the way you're supposed to learn. You're supposed to be completely bottled. However, he said, when we come to the Aseret HaDibros, the way Moshe Rabbeinu came to it, Moshe Rabbeinu said it, albeit with Ruach HaKodesh, but Moshe Rabbeinu said it. And Moshe Rabbeinu was a Matthias Ba'elam. He was a Guf Gashmi, and that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. He didn't want the Moshe Rabbeinu to just be a cloud a fire or a piece of dust or something. He wanted Moshe Rabbeinu should be there to give us over. Yeah, the whole Torah. So it's a siman that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that we should, be Davke Lamata with the conditions of Lamata and be in the world and deal with the Torah with our seichel. So he said, "Mitzad sheini mekiven she'aTorah yorda lamata kan bo'ilom, tzarich kol Yehudi lomod ulahovin haitev es haTorah b'sikloi hoishi." You got to understand Torah according to your seichel. Ain't nothing, you're only giving over, but Hashem wants that in that process of giving over, you're also understanding what you're saying. Barov inyone haTorah. Yeah, in Torah she'ba'al peh for sure. Yeah, va'ad shehu misachad im haTorah, v'zeh pirush ha'posik b'tilim, ki im b'Torah Hashem cheftzoi, u b'Torah soi. In his Torah, the Torah becomes his. At the beginning, it's Torah Hashem. Afterwards, it's his Torah. This is what the Medrash Tillim said. Amnam Maduba b'Torah Hashem. Truthfully, that's talking about Torah Hashem. Avahu mevin es haTorah kol kaktov, or misachid imo, ad she'inasu Torah soy. It becomes his Torah. HaTorah nasu shaloi. And that's what the Avis wanted with the Aseret HaDibros Alidei Moshe. And Beklal was Sefer Dvorim. Hashem wanted that there should davki be a Metzias of Taktoinim, and that there should be people that they live according to the way that Taktoinim function. They're part of the Taktoinim, albeit elevated part, but they're a part of the Taktoinim. And they have to bring down that Torah that they're b'taklis habitl to. They have to bring it down and make it part of this world, and then it becomes a genuine dira b'taktoinim. Yeah. Then it forms the ultimate union that Hashem really wanted. And that's the two forms of Aseret HaDibros and the two different types of his galas, Alidei Aseret HaDibros. So he said, Oisan HaTchunas HaNidrosas L'Limud HaTorah, Nidrosas Gam Kein L'Tzedek Kibush Oil. So the Rebbe goes further. And he says, all of this that we've learned up to now is about the Avodas HaOdam Ba'atzmai. But again, to Torah, to his bittul, to the Avesta, and to his way of learning Torah and the function that he has as a Yid learning Torah. However, the Rebbe said that a Yid is not allowed to stop there. He has to approach the world. So these two inyonim that he is living through, expressed by through the two Aseret HaDibros, they have to go out from him and conquer the world. They have to turn the world into what Hashem ultimately wants it. That the dira b'taktoinim are not just in you. It is. It is in you also, but it's in the whole world. And you have been given the task of not only making yourself a dira b'taktoinim, but making the whole world. Oisan HaTchunas HaNidrosas L'Limud HaTorah, Nidrosas Gam Kein L'Tzedek Kibush Ha'olam, V'Havichosei L'Dira, U'Mokim Matim L'Hizgalusei Shel Hashem. You've got to make the whole world a clean. Mitzad Echad Tzarich Li'yos Dira Lo Yisbara. So he said, Yes, Torah L'Kadesh Heitev Es Ha'olam, Alidei Torah U'Mitzvah. V'zeh Nasa Rach Alidei HaTorah, She'i Muchedes Im HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ba'atzmai. From one side, you have to make a dira lo yisbarach. So you've got to have some way of bringing Hashem down and bringing him into the world. Because if he's going to make the world a dira, he's got to come down. So the way to do that is only through Torah. Yeah? So that means that there's an aspect of Torah by which you, as it were, bring Hashem ba'atzmai Batzmusi, you bring him down into the world. And that's the first way, and that's the Aseret HaDibros. ומצד שני, בשביל להפוך את העולם התחתון לדירה, יש צריך לרדת כאן לעולם. You have to also not just bring Hashem into the world, but you've also got to go down into the world yourself. You've got to be part of the world and not just go away, as it were, from the world and reach towards Hashem, how he is Batzmusi, and bring him into Gilui. You've got to make the Kli, which is called the Etzem Dira. You know? That you've got to be part of the world. Ha'odam v'atera nidroshim lo ve'lamata davka. That's what Hashem ultimately wants. V'rak kan niten l'kadesh es ha'olam u'lahoifche l'dira. Only here in this world and being part of the world are you able to make it into a dira of Hashem. Ki kashem sha'odam ha'mu'unyan l'shapej dira u'le'afoiso b'mida maximalias. So that's not the resolution, but anyway, if somebody wants to make a dira, let's say he's got a dira, but he wants to make it a Balbatisha dira, and he wants to make it nice and to make it beautiful and ready for him and for anybody important that will come to be there. He has to work at it. He has to work at the dira. He's got to make it in some. Yeah, he said, "Kak gamba oilom." Where are we? Yeah, l'sheva shom olahokias min hoge hamokim. That you should be in the world and you should realize how does the world function and what are its ways of doing things. You've got to be there in the maximum of the diras. Barak kak yeh nitan l'shapet es adira karaui. Yeah, so he said, only if you do things the way the world, or the way that particular area where you want to dwell does things, then you can make it into a dira karaui. He said, Kak gambo elom, the same as with the general world, al manas lekadish es oelam karaui, to elevate and sanctify the world, yesh loredas lo elom. You have to be in the world. You got to be part of it and actually put yourself in according to the ways that the world functions. The Rebbe brings the famous Medrash. It's written a Medrash brought down in Bereshis in several places in the Rebbe's Sichas that Ozlis Lekato, Ozil Binemusei. If you go to a city and you settle there, then you should act according to that city's way of doing things. It has certain customs, and as long as they're according to the heroes of the Torah, then you have to act that way also. So you came down into this world, you've got to be part of the world. Hashem wants to bring Atzmos Elokus into the world the way it is the world, not the way it is no longer a world. He wants it to be a world, and he wants it to be a world al-pi Torah, and into that world to bring his own essence and to make it into a dira v'taktoinim. So the Rebbe said, "Akoyer livatua, shnei nigudim eilu, gam b'limud ha'Torah v'gam b'kivush ha'olam, nasa al-idei shtei piyomim shenemru aseret hadibros." So the Rebbe said, the koyer to be able to do these things, on the one hand to bring down and reveal Hashem from his essence, and to bring him down, or to create a proper dira according to the ways of the world, and nonetheless to make it possible for Hashem's essence to dwell there. Or that's the Nasinas Koyach of the two Aseret HaDibros, because they're such kloli, we began. And like the Alter Rebbe tells us in Tana, they're so kloli to the whole Torah, they give you the koyach. And the Rebbe points out that the very reading of it in the, and it's also much in the Hemshechayim Beis from the Rebbe Rashab, in a certain place, that when you read the Torah, any part of the Torah, how much more so the Aseret HaDibros, that's a Nasinas koyach to all the Klal Yisrael, to gain these two aspects, and it's brought down that kilo in each of the Aseres Adibras is kolo the other one also. Each one of them is kolo the other one. When we read it in the base Knesset, we give ourselves the power to make these two opposite nuances and koiches, to make them into one. He said, koya lebitzua shnei nigudim eilu, gam b'limud haTorah v'gam b'kivush ha'olam, na'aseh al yidei shtei piyomim shenemru aseres hadibros. B'dibros harishonos נאמר וידבר אלוקים as kol הדברים האלה לאמור. And it's well known that לאמור, every time it's written לאמor by a tzivui from Hashem, that means you have to say that over to the Jewish people. Hashem told it to Moshe, and Moshe has to say that over to all the Jewish people. But there's a famous question that by Matan Torah, everybody was there anyway. Afilo, all the neshomas, Sidim, Liyos Ba'ilom, and there's one on the famous story with the two brothers, Rabbi Elimelech and Rabbi Elikom Zushia, Me'anipodia, that they said, both of them said, that they remember who they were standing alongside of Matan Torah. Yeah, that they both remember who they. And just by the way, they said, both of them, they said that all the neshomas were called in Adam Rishon. When he was first created in the world, he had all the neshomas in. So they said, we were in Adam Rishon's nostril. Yeah, and it's written that the nose is not nana min hachet. The nose is put down in the Gemara, and also in the Midrash. That the nose ain't a nana mi zehoelom. Yeah. So therefore they said we want nana from the yeah. So therefore we have the right to say something because we want nana min hachet. Yeah. Yeah, both the Rebbe Elimelech and the Rebbe Zushia. Yeah. So you can just imagine what it was like sitting around the table with these guys, you know, and the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe Pinchas Bala Flo and a few others. And whenever the Maggid came in, they all sitted. They all went out of their kelim, you know. You can just imagine what the Maggid was. Yeah. So Al Choponim says the Rebbe, where are we? Yeah. So he says, B'dibros harishonos. So kol hadvarim haele le'imoer. Oh, but who's he gonna tell it to? Everybody's there. So he says, le'imoer, pirush shel ha'le'imoer kan, u'shekol Yehudi b'kol zman yuchol lachzoyer, v'le'imoer es divrei haTorah b'bittul muchlat. Le'imoer means that every year and every generation, when he will learn the Torah, he's just giving over what Moshe Rabbeinu heard. And that's the pshat le'imoer, that I've got to just give over what I've heard. Limud haTorah b'absolute bittul muklad. Ta'an l'shoidi, yeah, imrasal. Oh, Meila, said the Rebbe, that's the le'imoer. Yeah, it's a dvarim b'bittul muklad. Yeah, ko'im adover shekvar ne'amar. He's just giving over what's already been said. In the same way, you can begin making the world into a dira lo yisbarach. Why? Because you bring him out of his element, the atzmas of Be'elam. But by saying over Divrei Torah, where he was Begalui, you bring him into Galui. However, he said that's only bringing down the dar that wants to be. But you got to have the dira, that's got to be prepared. So he said, "Ve'ilu adibros achareinas shenemru al yidei Moshe noisnim as hakoyach shegam ha'odam kavishu neshama beguf lamata yuchal lilmeid ulahovin as haTorah heitev ulahavei gam as ha'olam kafi shahu." He will change the world the way it is. Ozu b'nemusei. Do things the way we do things. We're going to make it into a dear Elohi's border. We're going to make the very etzem of the world. If we would just bring it like it is internally, l'shoinli, masoga, that's maybe a bit much for the world. But if we improve the world and make it better through our efforts, yeah, and we do it according to our koiches, so we are part of the world, then we make it possible for Hashem's very essence to dwell in the world, and that's the shleimus of a dira b'tak teinim. So nimtel of we need both of them. ואילו הדיברס האחרינס שנאמרו על ידי מוישה נויסנים את הכויה שגם האדם כפי שהוא נשמה בגוף למטה יוכל ללמוד להבין את התורה היטב ולהביא את העולם כפי שהוא על תכונוסי ומנהוגו למוקים קודש. He'll change it into a dear Elohi is Baruch. In other words, the etzem of the Eivester will be misatzim with the world kamashahu. Not that he'll be mevatel the world. Baruch b'matziyah. And so that was the Rebbe, that happened at Matan Torah. That the Yidden, first of all, they were pocha nishmasom. Because there was a gilui of the Eivester, how he's coming out of the Day Torah. They couldn't take it. They just took off, bottle b'matziyah. What did the Eibusher do? He brought them back. On every dibber, he brought them back to life. And he said, I'm sorry, guys, that's not what I really meant. You understand? I need you to be there, and you have to bring me down, kamoishani, into your goof and into the world, the way it is, the way you guys do things. That's what I want. You follow? The Rebbe goes on to say that that's the ultimate tachlis of the whole Aveda, that Hashem wants that the world, kamoishahu, lefi inyonav min hogavu, well, that should become a dear Elohis body. And pile plus, and it's pile plus in that you see the unbelievable rotten of the Avesta, that the Avesta, he just had so much. And he wanted that this crazy little world, there has to be a dear Elohis body, but he has to be able batzmusay to dwell in the world. So I think we'll hold there because that's the essential message of the Sikha. The Rebbe goes on to develop on that more, and the Rebbe says that the ultimate purpose of is like a union, atzmi, of the two things, which means that the etzem of the Eibusher and the world, kamoishahu, our physical world, and that'll be the shleimus of the tchiyah samaisim, there'll be a world kamoishahu, and there'll be a neshama and a guf. And even the guf will remain kamoishahu. Even those parts of it won't be used anymore. No. The function of the Yisrael's Dibras is to be Megale Mehelomei, the etzem of the Eretz, Dibras Roshoines. Our function, with the function of Moshe Rabbeinu, is to make that world into a kli and a dira, that he should dwell in that. And they should become one essence. And that's what the Rebbe says in Perek Lamed Vav. The Rebbe brings down over there that kach niver mitchilase, that the world was created for that from the very beginning. So the Rebbe said, why does the Alter Rebbe have to put in that the world was created for that from the very beginning? Just say that's the tachlis. What is it? The Rebbe says that the Alter Rebbe wants to hint that the world was meant to be that way from the very beginning, means that when you bring the essence of Hashem into the world, it's not that you're just bringing two things which are very different and uniting them together, but the ultimate koyach of that union of the Eibishter, or that will reveal the emes choima of the world, that it's really Elokus Be'etzem, because that's what was meant, Malachat, so that the essence of the world and the essence of the Eibishter become almost one thing, not two things like a kli and an oil, but they become almost one entity. And that's the message of the whole thing. And then the Rebbe goes on to say that, you know, he mentions the whole Yatzeit of the Rebbetzin on Chabad Tsfat, and he talks about the Frierdiker Rebbe and himself, and he talks about the Chadasor and Chadasor Sheba, Chadasor, the 11th day of the 11th month, and that's 22. And so the 11 times 11 and 11 is 22. Yeah. And that the Rebbetzin Sistalkis is like the beginning of the final run to the ultimate Gilei of Mashiach. What that is a Chadus Antu Chad V'Leba Chushba. So be well, everybody, and have a good Shabbos Kabbalah Satira. We'll just say L'chaim.
Shkaya. That was my thing. 4-5. It's in
yeah, that's of this. That's it.
Remember, we're discussing there's so much more. Every year on this parsha, every year on this parsha with this sutta and other similar suttas that are similar dichotomies, I always want to know what is the specifics of the actual avoda that's asna, one from the Yitro point of view, the transcendent avoda, the material avoda from this connected to Hanan. That's obvious. That's what we do every day. And maybe when we're so used to doing this we do it already in a joined way. But what is the separate avoda that is the transcendent version? When I learn Torah in the transcendent, I'm not bringing it down. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
So I'm going to say a few words now, but you have to forgive me. I can't go into it right now.
No problem.
I understand your question.
Good, that's good enough.
And we'll deal with it. But what I will say now will in some way assist.
Oh, you're actually not going to use this? We got crackers. It's better for me. No. Okay. Not necessary, it says. Not necessary. Just have wine. Michael, we're looking at time. Benachin. Hey, Yeah, I know. It was a seriously good season.
We're doing Mashiach Shir, right? Today.
L'chaim u'levracha.
Rabbi Gafni. Rabbi Gafni.
Oh, one more cup out so we get Benjamin.
Rabbi.
On the end.
Rabbi.
Give us the fellow on the end.
Benjamin.
Sing you some Negan.
Yeah, for sure.
We're just having.
What do we owe the honor of having so many Gafni here tonight?
We have your Bachman that came back from
Came back from Yitzro, just by the Rebbe. Who were there?
So, we say that, can everybody hear? Yeah? Can you hear? Unfortunately, I can't hear I know I'm talking, but I can't really hear what I'm this week's Parsha is Parsha Matan Torah, but it's Bagdomas Yisro, the whole Indian from Yisro, and then Matan Torah. But that indicates that they have a close connection, one with the other. And it's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh and in Drusha Chassidus and Barigas, that if it hadn't been for Yisro's Hoidur, then it wouldn't have been Matan Torah, wouldn't have been able to be Matan Torah. First of all, he had to be Moeder, and then it was possible the whole Matan Torah. So I thought the Shaila, if there were 600,000 Yidden, 600,000 males that were already shraying nice of a nishma, why wasn't that enough? Why did we have to have, first of all, the whole Hakdama of Yisrael, and then was able to be the Asher Sadibras. So the world, the Chassidish world, says that Vayishma Yisro means that not just that he heard of Erader, and we've explained on a number of occasions what's the difference between Heron and Der Heron. Heron, that means that you hear. So that could lead to what's the old saying in English, it could go in one ear and out the other, you understand? But you heard. Of a Der Heron is where it goes in, and it doesn't just go out the other side, it stays in you, and you become affected, and you become, as it were, an under-image from what you heard. And that's called Der Heron. So how do we know that here Vayishma doesn't just mean he heard? What's the proof, or what is it makes it so obvious as Der Heron? Something very profound occurred in Yisrael. So it's written in Rashi, the Mafurish. The Rashi says, Eize Shemua Shoma Ubo. Rashi puts in a word, Ubo, you understand? In other words, that Yisrael could have timed that he was a very big intellectual figure, Yisrael. So he could have timed it, I'm going to sit at home, I'll make an academy in my backyard, or I'll bring all the Talmidim of mine and everybody, all the Avodah Zornikas, and I'll change them, I'll give them to understand the new revelation, And he could have made a comfortable business. He was very influential. What did he do? He left where he was, and he came out into the desert, El Midbar, Ashehu Choyne Shom, Har Helakim. When a mensch is choyne, he's just camping. It's all a midbar, and it's just a camping place. In other words, Yisro was able to leave everything behind. Ubo, he came. You follow? Agi Kuman. So that's the whole indication that the Yishma was Deheran, Nistamheran. And therefore Rashi says, Eiz Shemua Shoma Ubo. What did he hear was something you bring to come all the way out to the Midbar. So Rashi says, they bring in the Chumash, they bring a Gemara Masechet Zvachim. In that Gemara is written a lot more things than just the two that Rashi brings. Rashi brings that he heard Melchemes, he heard Kriyas Yamsu or Melchemes Amalek. And the Gemara Masechet Zvachim there, it's written a whole series. You read of some man. Rashi mentions them a bit further along. What actually made him come was Kriyas Yamsu or Melchemes Amalek. So the world gives over a pshat, and it's actually it's given over in Svarim B'Shem Reb Baruch Mezbezer. And Reb Baruch Mezbezer, he was from the Talmidei HaMagid, and he was an Einiko at the Baal Shem Tov. He was the brother of the Degel Matnei Ephraim. They were brothers of the Baal Shem Tov's daughter. So they said that Reb Baruch Mezbezer gave over, and he said, was it anything Kriyas Yamsuf, his Galas Elakus, Mamish Gili Pnimisati. The highest Madrigas came down into the world. Yom Pnimis Elakus, and Pnimis Amalchas became Gilui Yabosha. They came down to the world, Bagoli Yabosha. Better than that you can't have. You understand? That was a preparation for Matan Torah. He didn't saw the whole bitl of Pare and the whole thing. The Iskalas, because Rosh Shivcho, Alayam, Yosef me Masharo Yecheskel ben Buzi. Shifra, Parshas, maidservant saw more than what Yecheskel saw. Yeshaya ben Ammon, I feel more than Yeshaya. What could have been better? And yet afterwards, a very short time after, Vayoboya Amalek. There still can be an Amalek after you've seen Elikus, Bara'iyah, more than a Novi, a big Novi. And you saw Gil Elikus, nonetheless, there can still be an Amalek. Yeah, Shakocha Badera can get all cooled off. Yisro realized that he has to bore. He can't just sit at home. You can sit at home and hear what Moshe Rabbeinu was doing. Over to Mamis, be in that choir to fight the krilas, which comes after Gil Elikos, that you have to be with the Rebbe. You darf gehen zum Rebbe. Davor, he just been there. You davor zum Rebbe, darf sein bei him. And you have to be with all the Yidden together. All Yidden were together with the Rebbe. Alle sind given zusammen mit Moshe Rabbeinu. So Yisro, even though he was a Kohen Midyon, he was a Kohen in the Inevan Ischalches, Sipras, at a period of Labovis, Ischalches and Sitracha. And he was a Kohen, he was a leader. Nonetheless, he came. And he came Lehizgaya. What Lehizgaya means a shinoi otam in a man. We see that that's what we call Isapcha. That's the emesin of an Isapcha. Before Matan Torah, there had to be a Isapcha. So it gemus sein at the Liumazeh and the Clippers, they would become bottle at Kedekach, that they would be moide to the Indian Akidusha. And moida means that you give yourself away. That's the emesin of an idol. And that's the emesin of a nice of a nishma. That's an akuda of nice of a nishma. When Yidden would have put nishma first, it would have been a very balbatisha deal, very. First we understand, we get a picture, we know what's going on, we know all the inyonim, whatever. No. Nice means that you give your whole rotzen away. Lamaila meditas vakbolas, legamre. Well, that's in Israel. Aisapcha. That's lahofoch sheichel in her. And like we said in the Shir, the Alter Rebbe writes in Perek Lamed that that's the kavanas kolabria. First of all, is kafia, oba the ik is lisapcho chasheichel in her. Yisrael kimat. That was the necessary step to start off the Korah which led to Matan Torah. Well, that coming down of Etzem Elakusa, we learned, that was made possible by their bittul von Yisrael, their bittul, a Kohen Midian, he gewon Choyse Moshe. He was already Choyse Moshe before. But he's given that title right here, Lefnei Matan Torah, together with Kohen Midian. He's called Choysen Moshe. In other words, the bittul from Kohen Midian, those maktim be'emes Choysen Moshe. How's that? Because Choysen is from Lashon Nechois, to go down. Chois, Nechois Choson, Nechois Targa, going downward. How did the Torah come? We just learned the Torah was kli chemda shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How did you get that the Torah came down into the world and was Mashiach with the world? What sort of koyach made it possible to bring the Torah down into the world? So we have to say that we got into Atzma saying so, l'mayla mi chokma, and that caused, oiraisa v'chokma, kulachat, to come down into the world. And those are Choysen Moshe. Moshe is that Indian. What made that possible? Kohen Midian came out into the desert. Kohen Midian, in the desert, or that made possible Chois and Moshe. Ich gewohnt die eine von Chois and Moshe, Bapoyo. Over that's what's called heron instead of der heron, or rather, der heron instead of heron, I'm sorry. Yeah. Das ist der heron, das immer so der heron. Yitro, der heron, der heron. And that's become a famous word. That's what they say in the name of Rabbi Baruch Meshvaz. Has become a common thing, both in Lubavitch and in Chassidus Poland, in Rabbi Makoimas. They give over that word, that Eiza Shmur Shoma Ubo. What made him come was he heard that there could be such a Gilel and after that a Molech. So he realized that he had to be with the Rebbe, you understand? Over the etzem coming into the desert on the part of a kohen median, das ist abge Steuchel in Heure, im Mele Chois und Moshe. Ich gewann eine von Mantere Bapoyo, ich gewann eine von Iskalas Elakus Lamata. So each and every one of us, we've got to realize that that's the ultimate tachlis. The ultimate tachlis is you have to make up yourself. As written in Tanya, as Mashma, Isavcha is Midas Tzadikim. The Beinan is Iskavia. So, Einochanami, the Beinan is Iskavia. It could be he doesn't reach Emma's Isavcha, or he reaches it. He does, but he doesn't. And that does, but he doesn't is very, very dear by the Ever. That's like he does. Because as he says in Perek Yud Dalet, he's not necessarily ever going to be a tzaddik, this guy. You know, he's a Beinani, a schlepper, of a very, as he called, a very capable schlepper. Very, very determined, very capable. Well, he's not going to make, but he's got his own, Ishavcha, and that's called Iskafia. So Kunteda, Iskafia and Ishavcha are really the same thing. It depends who you are. But they're really the same thing. Yeah. It's always that. Therefore, at the end of Perek Nun Gimel, the Alter Rebbe writes that there has to be an age. Yeah, there has to be Srivas, Kolil, yeah, Ba'esh, Ha'ava, yeah, Karish Ba'esh, Alidea Tzadikim, or Srevas Halavushim, the Nefesh Abamiyat, Alidea Beinonim. He puts them killer. A mashma that, you know, they're not mamish the same thing, but they have the same value. And I remember I heard from Reb Nochum, last Shabbos was his Yartime, Yud Gimel Shvat. I heard from Reb Nochum that he said the whole inyan is as the davs repes verbrennen. Something has to burn. You have to burn something away. So a tzaddik, yeah, he burns everything. He just goes up for A's, everything gets burned. He just kule, he's kule on kule for kule later. He just it's a much more difficult than what you might call Balbati's task. But he also burns. He burns the lavushim, and that's a very big task. And that's the Yisavcha of a Beinah. Verbrenn. Finish. No more lavushim than ever burn. Finish. Oh, and it's mashma, if you look carefully in Tanya, it's mashma, that's what the Avis is really like. The tzaddikim, no, shalom aleichem, tzaddikim. That there should be a man that he's bound up in that world. That's his world. You follow? The Nefesh Apam is, that's him. And he verbrennt the levushim upon him, or burns him. That's what he writes. Or alidei shreivas levushim shall the Nefesh Apam is babeinunim. Tachlis. Those are the ganze Tachlis. Those are the ganze. That had to be before we could learn the Sikha tonight. Then we have the Dibra Zutel, and we have to be, first of all, this whole Haktoma. And that's Yisrael. You follow? And therefore, he was Goyram by Moshe Rabbeinu, Ata Techazeh. He said to him, from now on, you're going to see, not just here, but you're going to see. You're going to have dinim from Riyah. He was Megala, Afilo by Moshe Rabbeinu, the dinim from Riyah. Miller, das ist Appelle, die gesagt. Das ist ein Mann, Pille Platz. That's what the old saying by the Chassidim is, Yisro Oter Heret, in a sense. That's the ultimate function. The ultimate function of a chosed and of learning in Tomchei Tvimim and all things, not just to get, the message and just to be part of it, but you have to, how to call it, der Herren. You have to hear an opinion and change something. The old yeshiva thumb, it's hapcha. Something has to reverse itself. Then we can get moving. Then we can move to Matan Torah. Omer Hashem Shalom. And so sein mit gewaltig Hatflachen. That's why it is that I heard from the Rebbe in Yechidas that the Ike Inyam van Chinuch is to be with the Bochum in their lives and sie sollen leben, die Inyam van Tzara. Nicht nur wissen, aber sie sollen leben, die Inyam van Tzara. They have to live. That's the Ike. If I'm leben mit der Wort is the Ike Tachlis.
Leben mit der Wort.
Yeah. And I already told you guys, after Leon sent the follow-up, but I told you guys I once walked home, wait to Shabbos with my mashpia. I told you this story. I was going home to hear Abdullah with my mashpia, and his son at Chazad Maima in the shul, poor and beautiful, mommy, clear and good. And he only had a few hours to prepare, So I said to my mashpia, I said to him, Reb Zalman, you must have a lot of nagas from your son that he can say chassidus like that, That's what I said to my mashpia. But I said it in Yiddish. I was trying to sort of practice my Yiddish. So he thought for a minute, then he said, he said, ich hab nachher von dem, was Chazad Chassidus. He said, aber ich hab viel mehr nachher von dem, was lebt Chassidus. He said, but I have a lot more nachher from that what he lives Chassidus. And that went into my computer, and to this day, it's there. And I remember exactly how he said it and how he looked. That stuck in my computer. The Yika is not to know Chassidus, not even the Chazak Chassidus. It's important. But the Yika is Leben mit the Chassidus. And those are Yisro Yichav. Yishma at the head, he took it and he said, I can't sit around, I've got to go out, I've got to be with mein Rebbe, and I have to be with it all and I have to be involved. Tough live. Oh, now we can go to Matan Torah.
Get involved, basically.
Oh. So be well, everybody. Everybody's going to be angry with me. But I got a problem with my own. I'm not feeling so whatever, that's the way it is. With me, you have to be, there's an old saying in English, you have to be thankful, I feel, for small mercies. Mercy is great, mercy. Sometimes I feel small, but if it's mercy, you have to be very happy. So, And Hashem Shalom will be a prayer Kabbalah Sater. Yisof Koso, Yisro revealed that he was Mohan of Kabbalah Sater. Mountain Torah and Dibras Rishayna. Kabbalah Sater, that's the Dibras. And that's the Socha Sot, that's the three. Kabbalah Sater. That's the Dibras Shniyah.
Oh, yeah?
No.
I wrote that.
Can't use one. Yeah. I wanted him to go and get me some swine today. Next thing is he disappears. So he went for hair. That's important, but what am I going to do, you know?
He's a rabbi. Rabbi.
But he's prepared to be rehired. They say he's in danger of being fired, but he'll probably be rehired.
Wow.
And Be'ez Hashem, we'll deal with it, you know, after Shabbat, we'll deal with it. So, Be'ez Hashem. I look around the shul and I don't find him, you know. All of a sudden that fellow, what's his name, you know, the American fellow, Bo Coyle, you know, he says to me, all of a sudden I see some cake on my desk, you know, and he said, he said in a loud voice, and I have to bring that for you.
He said it in Yiddish? In Yiddish, Yossi?
You know, what's his name? You know, the little American fellow that he wears a casket sometimes.
Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, you should realize that Shammai's getting married soon, no? So, you know, so he left the room for a few minutes. Casket, Aaron, he left the room for a few minutes. In the meantime, I'll tell you, all of a sudden Shammai gets up and he said, oh, here I go. He goes running over. All of a sudden he comes back brandishing a cup of coffee. You know. He said, I have to. He gives me the cup of coffee. All of a sudden he comes back. So I said, listen, we'll have to make a dinner between you guys. Yeah. So all of a sudden I said that Shammai is too pure for a dinner. He's too pure. It's not pure. Not that a dinner is not pure, but he doesn't fit. You know? So we all had a good laugh. Yeah, l'chaim. Shammai, he tries living. You know, he's a good to square. Yeah. So, there we are, guys. So everybody says he's already going away, so my answer is I should have gone away half an hour ago. So I'm just going to make a bit of a sort of a finale. I'll tell you another story. You know. I once had a mice. There was a person in Melbourne, Australia. He was called Rabissa Kluganten. And he was a descendant directly from the Reb Meir Shlomo Yanovsky, that he was a grand uncle of the Rebbe. The Reb Meir Shlomo, he was a grand uncle, great grand uncle of the Rebbe. And this Rebbe, he was a direct descendant from the Yanovsky. So he was a Korov with the Rebbe. He was a Korov. He was a Mamsha Korov with the Rebbe. And he was a very, very correct person, very had responded, he was very beautiful. And he was about Koyre, he was, very impressive. But he wasn't from the big mashpim, you know, he was very correct, sort of keep to himself. But I sort of got close with him. And so I remember one day we were sort of having a little chat, you know, sort of intimately. So I said to him, you know, how am I going to make it? You know, how am I going to make the grade? That's what I said to him. So he said to me like this, it was very surprising. He said, there's those vision that you're going to hear a lot. You'll hear a lot. He said, but everything that you hear, he said, you should realize that the Ashgacha Proteus, Ot Gemacht, that you have to hear that. That's talking to you. Mine and mine dear. Yeah, he said, it's not just a nice thing, you know, of it means you. You know, you've got to take personally everything you hear. And that's pretty hot going, you think about it. And that's what, you know, by the Rebbe, by the Farbringers. The Rebbe said several times, my dear. We're not just talking, we mean you. Yeah. So he said to me that word, that the Ashgacha made it possible for you to hear that word, because that means you. You've got to live that word. You have to take it as meaning you. So I tried after that all the years. And after I became close to the Rebbe and everything, I tried to make it a cloud that if I heard episode good that was meant for me. And afterwards, I'd be able to share it with others. But first of all, it was meant for me. And I heard that from Rabbi Clifton. That's about the only direct, like, avoided the Gavot I heard from him. That's very special. You hear that, Manan, yes?
Yeah.
Jeder Tag was my head, meintest du?
Just for you, it's not...
It's your personal business. And that's what we try to give over to the Bochum in Krakow. You remember? Yeah. And that's what we gave over to your father. And he appreciates it. Fine, guys. So, Betuv leave a middle behind, we've already hired you back.
Okay.
You're in danger of being fired, but you've been rehired. So, people, everybody have a good Shabbos Matan Torah. And Tarikim. Ozayin al inyonim b'poel mamin. Yisrael, verstanden that you can't mess around. It has to be poel mamin. You follow?
Yeah.
So they ever said, Ever say Matan Torah. If I've got